Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Hey, how's it going? Today I've got a video I've been working on for a while. Took some time to get this information together, but it's my analysis of all of the 1990s Ken Griffey Jr. refractors, and based on population report from PSA, what are the harder ones to get? And we're going to break it down multiple ways, but it's really a ranking and sort of a insight on what of the 120 different unique Griffey refractors that exist in the 90s, which ones have low pops, which ones look like they are genuinely hard to find in high grade, and which ones are really low in availability. And I want to give you guys the analysis, and we'll go right into it. So here we go. So first, I'm going to answer a few questions. So this is the questions I had before I made the video. First is how many Griffey refractors exist. I didn't have that information offhand. I kind of built my own spreadsheet. What are the rarest Griffey base refractors? So one of the things I wanted to answer was, if you look at refractors, generally you have the base refractor, which is worth a lot of times more than, let's say, a subset refractor or even a lot of the insert refractors. And so, from all the different sets that were issued, which base refractors are the hardest to get, and in high grade, PSA 10, or just in total availability. What are the rarest PSA 10, refractors for base? What are the rarest Griffey refractors, including the inserts and subsets? So if I take all 120 Griffey's refractors that exist, how do they rank? And then how do they rank based on PSA 10? So look at it in totality, how many exist, then how many PSA 10s exist. And then, if you combine the two, and I look at the ones that have the highest pop counts and the lowest PSA 10 availability, that really is the magic of what to look for if you're going to buy raw cards or get cards graded by PSA. You want cards that have high pop counts but very low PSA 10s, because that means that card is probably a lot harder to get into that 10 grade, and therefore will hold its value because it's actually truly hard to get. And then, are there any affordable products left to open, or what would I recommend to open if I was going to search for Griffey refractors in unopened product? Now, I mentioned this, so this is my list. So this is, 2.5 pages long of refractors, because when I started out, I didn't know how many there was, and so I'm going to caveat this, and so I know there might be some really hardcore Griffey collectors watching this video, and so this is what I'm going to say, and I know there's going to be some people who have a problem with it, but I took the protector and the peeled refractors and combined them into one number from the population report from PSA. So this list shows, by year, the total number of refractors graded in each grade from 8 to 10, and the percentage of the graded refractors that are in an 8 to 10 shape. And just to give you an idea of, I call it high grade percentage, but, are there refractors harder to get in high grade? So that was one of the questions I was trying to answer. But by combining all of those peeled versus unpeeled refractors into one number, the rationale I used was this. I know for a fact that PSA at the beginning of this grading of modern cards, and let's be clear, PSA originally didn't set out to grade modern cards. So they didn't really have good understanding of the inserts and how to label cards. So there's a lot of cards that were refractors that were peeled or had the refractor on it that were just labeled as the card. So I'm not sure the pop count's very accurate on peeled versus unpeeled. Secondly, they all came unpeeled, from the factory. So if anyone peeled them and sent them in to create this new subset, that's okay, but originally they were all unpeeled. And so they were all originally the same card to begin with. And I do have the list put together of peeled versus unpeeled, but it's enormous. Like you take almost every every 1999 finest refractor, which there's 24, and you just double it or triple it in some cases for some cards because there's multiple versions, and it goes on and on if you were to do that, and it makes the analysis harder. So I chose to not include those. But I do know that for some cards, there's not that many peeled versus unpeeled, but that's a different discussion, and I might do a separate video on peeled versus unpeeled because it's a unique subset. But I combine it all because I just want to know how available is that card. How easy is it to find the 1999 finest base Griffey, peeled or unpeeled, just in totality. I want to know, that. And so this is the second list or second page of Griffey Refractor. So I know it's hard to read. It's hard to get everything on one screen, but I didn't want to have like 20 pages of just, refractor after refractor. But here's the list. So I do have it all. I think it's complete. If you see something that's missing, I did choose to not list some cards like the Hyperplaids for 99 Finest. They're not listed as refractors, and they're more acetate based, so I didn't list those. So again, I made some choices on what I consider to be a refractor, not a refractor. But I generally went with the descriptions either in Baseball Cardpedia or PSA. So I try to use some multiple sources to determine if it was a true refractor, because a lot of the shiny inserts were issued in the 90s that weren't refractors. So the first thing we said, there's 120 Griffey refractors that are unique, 120 unique refractors. Of that, a majority were issued, after 1996. So a fun fact is that there was as many 1999 finest refractors as there was issued in all of 93, 94, 95, and 96. So there was 24 1999 finest refractors of Griffey. So 24 unique Griffey refractors in 1999 finest. And there is 24 Griffeys in total that were made between 93 and 96, all brands. So it just shows you the escalation. And you can definitely see Topps had, an agenda, which was, people like refractors. Let's just keep giving them more and more refractors. And I think the modern day equivalent's like kabooms. People like those kabooms. They're not numbered, and a lot of refractors weren't numbered. So let's just keep giving them more because that's what they like, and they'll keep buying the product. And I think that's what they did with refractors. They said, look, between 93 and 95, we had 5 Griffey refractors, and between 96 and 99, we had 115. It really escalated pretty quick. And the 2000s didn't really calm down either. It took a while for it to kind of go down a little bit, but Topps, and the refractor is still a huge thing for its brand. So, what's the rarest in totality? So this is like, no matter what grade it is, just how many Griffeys were graded, in totality. And not shockingly, the 93 Finest is obviously worth so much money that you're going to grade it in any grade. And then in some cards, you're only going to grade if maybe they come back a 9 or 10, right? So the hardest to get base refractor is 1999 Bowman's Best, which makes sense because it's numbered to 400. The third hardest to get is 98 Bowman's Best, which is numbered to 400. So anywhere you see on the list, I got parentheses behind the name. That's a card that's numbered. And you can see the 99 Topps Chrome is also very rare, which was surprising. So, generally, the older refractors have the highest pop counts. And I think that's just due to value and just how chased they are by collectors. That those are the ones that people will send in no matter what. So you can see that in general, if you look at medium, you'd say like on average, 50-ish. is where most refractors land, if you were to average it all out. Now, going into PSA 10s, it kind of flip-flops a little bit. You can see the 93 finest remains on top, but there's a huge, change. The 97 finest bronze pops up there. 94 finest kind of gets up there a little bit. But the card that really drops on the list, so I'll show you again, 95 Bowman's Best was, fifth on the list in just totality of 69 total. It drops all the way down to number 2 because there's a tie, with 1. So it only has 110. So that card is really rare. In terms of this, is that some cards, haven't been submitted much. You saw some more only, 20 total cards. Now, when you get to 50, 70, 140, the pop counts really start having meaning in terms of how rare the PSA 10 is. So I would say the 95 Bowman's Best 10 is starting to become a true rarity. It's hard to get that card in a 10. Centering sucks. That card's really hard to get centered. 97 Bowman Chrome has 0 10s. And then there's 4 other base cards that only have 110. That's really interesting. Shows you that there is some money to be had if you have a card that might be able to grade a 10. I think a 97 Bowman Chrome PSA 10, in the future could be, if this pop count stays where it's at for a long period of time, could be a grail card that a lot of collectors who are putting these sets together are going to be looking for. My parallel is Tom Brady. Right now, anything Tom Brady refractor is just going nuts. The number cards are going even higher, but these very low pop counts, are very desirable and wanted by these collectors. Griffey is obviously the most collected baseball player from a refractor in a 90s perspective. So you got to imagine these super low pop counts are going to be desirable and could shoot up in value over time if they stay this low. Now, when I look at the two charts together, and I alluded to this earlier around the 95 Bowman's Best, is if you add that 95 Bowman's Best, if you just do the number of PSA 10s, then you look at how many have been graded in totality, you can see at 1 in 69, that 95 Bowman's Best kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. Same with the 97 Topps Chrome, 110, 45 graded. And, the 97 Bowman Chrome is 36, and I kind of did the median at around 25. So anything above 25 total graded, you can kind of make more of an inference that the card in PSA 10, if it's 5 or below, is pretty rare. And so if you look at that, there's only one card, which is the 99 Topps Chrome, that doesn't have more than 25 graded, wherein it has less than 5 total 10s. So, a majority of those cards there at the bottom of that list, right here, are where the focus should be. If I was, as a collector of Griffey cards, this is where I'm going to have a lot of my focus, because these cards, for the most part, have enough population now to kind of indicate that the 10 is tough and that there is some issues with the cards to get high grades. I know for a fact 95 Bowman's Best and 97 Bowman Chrome both have terrible centering issues for those cards, which would prevent a lot of them becoming 10s. And so those cards are probably going to remain low pops because a majority of those cards are way off center. And so this is the area where if you can get a 10 in a 97 Topps Chrome, a 96 Bowman's Best, a 99 Topps Chrome, that card could be worth a lot more money in the future as people realize that some of these cards are very rare and high grade. Now, if I look at just all Griffey cards, not just base, so we just looked, all the cards we looked at before were just the base cards. If I look at all of the Griffey cards together, the top 10 hardest to get, and so it goes from and this is not PSA 10s. This is just like how many Griffeys have been graded for these cards. It's shocking that some cards only have one, but when you look at the list, you say, well, it makes sense because it's the Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor, which there's only 25 that exist. There's actually been 2 of the Golden Anniversary Refractor, which only 5 exist. But a lot of the number cards are on this list. You see the top finest, team finest, but you look at this top 10 list, in which there's actually 12 because there's 2 8s for the number 10 card. It's just really interesting seeing all these cards with total pop below 10. That this isn't PSA 10s, this is totality. There's only 5 99 Topps Chrome All Tops refractors for Griffey, 5 98 Finest Mystery Thomas and Griffey's. There's only 8, Bowman's Best Inverted Mirror Image Atomics, or 8 99 Bowman's Best Performers Atomics, numbered to 100. Those cards are starting to become obviously hard to find, and obviously they don't exist in a high enough concentration to make an inference on their PSA 10 worthiness. But, it does show that they're not graded at a high level, and so is that because they're hard to find? In some cases they're numbered, so yes. But, is there something else going on? Maybe people thought they weren't enough value. Those mystery finest cards have always been not as popular. Same way for things like the double features out of finest, or the mirror image cards have never been as popular as base or atomic. So I can see why maybe not a lot have been submitted. But when you look at this number, 4 cards, 5 cards, it just shows that even if you have those cards, it's maybe worth to get them graded because they're all going to be super low pops for a while. Maybe some of them in 5 or 10 years don't stay that way. But for now, this is an interesting list of what are the lowest pop, Griffey refractors. Now, if you go to the easiest to find, this list is the card that stuck out to me was that 96 Finest Gold. There's 152 graded Finest Gold Griffeys, and I think that kind of shocked me just because I'm always under the impression that card is rare or hard to find. But obviously people submit any nice ones because they're worth enough money to grade, right? Same way that's why the 93 Finest is so high, and now the 94 Finest has really gone up in value, so that's worth grading. Other cards on the list that are very interesting is, again, the 95 Finest. It's like number 8 on the list of easiest to find, but there's only 110. And that's a really interesting card. So, if you look at PSA 10 pop count for all Griffey refractors, there's 48 total cards that have 5 or fewer PSA 10s. And including 6 that have a pop count of 0. So the pop count 0 cards are the 99 Bowman Chrome Gold, and that's numbered out of 25. The 1998 Bowman's Best Mirror Image Fusion Atomic, so that's where you got 2 players, and it's and I think that card's actually die cut. You got the 97 Bowman's Best Inverted Mirror Image, the 97 Bowman's Best International, 1997 Bowman Chrome, which is a base card, which is shocking that there's no 10s, and 1996 Topps Chrome Wrecking Crew. The Wrecking Crew is a subset card in the main set. So again, I didn't include subset cards in my base card analysis. If I did, this card would have popped out as another card that's very rare. So this is the list of all 48, and you can see that there's a lot of numbered cards that exist in here. The finest prominent figures. There is the Bowman's Best Performers, refractor, which is in 1999, that's numbered out of 400. There's the Atomics, numbered out of 100. There's the Man insert, which was numbered out of 75. The Team Finest Gold and Red card. So, a lot of the numbered cards, a lot of the die cut cards. So it makes sense for some of those cards because either they're numbered or they're die cut, which makes it easy to damage. So some of these make a lot of sense, but again, 48 of the 120 Griffey cards have less than 5 PSA 10s, or 5 or fewer. That's a huge opportunity for buying. And again, as a Griffey collector and as a purchaser of products to open to look for Griffies. You see my videos. In general, I open most of my products I open nowadays are either modern football because I love it, I still collect it, or it's products that have Griffey refractors in it, and I make sure I get the right series, so I'm getting the Griffey refractor. And that's sort of my chase is I'm looking for these Griffey refractors, but there's 48 cards that have 5 or fewer PSA 10s. It's a great opportunity to if you pull one and it comes back at 10. I think there's going to be a lot of movement on these cards in the future, especially the ones that already have high pop counts, like that 95 Bowman's Best with a very low PSA 10 count, showing that it's actually truly a rare card in high grade. Most common, and again, that 96 Finest Gold card pops up pretty high. Um, 93 Finest actually, even though it's the most graded of refractors, it's not the most common 10. So it shows that it does have some condition issues. Um, but in general, it's weird to say 15 10s is a lot. But in this data set, that's kind of above normal. It's like it's above the median. In terms of amount. So there's 23 cards that are in this pile, which is I consider to be the easiest ones to get. One that stood out for me is some of the atomics, especially 96. And if you look at some of the data, I can, I won't scroll back up to it, but the data shows that in 96, a lot of the atomic refractors actually have higher pop counts than the regular refractor. And the atomic should be harder to get, but they're not. And I think that does show that not a lot of these cards have been submitted because of pricing. Maybe they're at PSA waiting to get graded, but they may have not been bringing enough money to be considered for grading. But these atomics were, and that's why I think you're seeing the pop counts on some of these atomics higher than the regular version, just because people graded them because they knew that even if they came back in 8 or 9, they're still worth something because people consider atomics to be very rare. The other one was the All Etch 99 Chrome. That card's beautiful. I don't have one. I really am jealous of people who do because that card is so awesome. But that is actually one of the easier 10s to get. So that's kind of shocked me. I thought that card was a little rare. So anyway, so here is all of the cards, and the other one that's really interesting is on neither list do you really see the 97 Finest Gold embossed refractor. It's not the easiest. It's not the hardest. So it's somewhere in the middle. Which is that card is considered to be like a holy grail card for Griffey collectors, and so it's neither rare nor easy to get. So it's right in the middle. So if you look at Griffey refractors pop count and PSA 10 count together on one sheet, again, this is kind of like the thing you want to really pay attention to, right? Is cards that have high pop counts with very low PSA 10 count, because this shows again that these cards may stay lower in pop count. So if you get one, if you get a raw card and get it graded at 10, the chances of that 10 pop count not going up extremely, because not every one of every 3 cards grades a 10 or one out of every 2. These cards have proven to be tougher, and so if you look at it, the card again that I brought up a lot is 95 Bowman's Best, but you look at cards like the 97 Bowman's Best Preview. That card shocked me that card has only 110 with 48 total cards submitted. The 98 Mystery Finest, again, Mystery Finest cards have never been hugely popular, even though you collect them, but it's not like a card you would immediately think, I need to get this card graded. You see the 97 Topps Chromes in there, you see the 97 Bowman Chromes in there. So again, every card on this list is worthy of either you submitting them, if you have raw cards, or they're worth chasing, to some level. So, if I was going to pick my top 10, so I'm going to pick 5 base cards and 5 insert parallels and subsets. My 5, obviously I've talked about a lot, the Bowman's Best. I think that card stands out, based on both the pop count and the PSA 10 count. 97 Bowman Chrome, there's 0 of them. 99 Topps Chrome, there's just 1 with 21 graded. 96 Bowman's Best, again, 110 out of 34 graded, and 97 Topps Chrome, 1 out of 45. Now, for inserts and parallel, this was tougher because you definitely have aesthetics that play into it. But, just based on total pop count and based on PSA 10 count, you can go after. I think that Bowman's Best preview and the Mystery Finest from '98 will be cards that you might be able to find on some dealer's $5 box. You can go dumpster diving and find some of those Mystery Finest refractors because, in general, no one thinks they're worth anything. Even the Griffey is going to be discounted or sold at a low price. So it's worth going out and trying to find it. If you get a 10 on it, and the pop count stays very low, you might be holding on something, really good. 96 Bowman's Best cuts, obviously the die cuts make it harder. Same way for the Atomic. And then the Topps Wrecking Crew is a really cool, I've got a photo over here on the bottom. That's a really cool card next to the best cuts. And it's got 0 pop, for a 10. So that's an awesome card. Now, 96 Topps Chrome is super duper expensive. But if you're at a show or you're dumpster diving, you might find this refractor either on someone's table raw or in a box. And because it's not the base card, it's a subset card, people just kind of overlook it. So, but this is my list, so they kind of all make sense. Some of them are, base, or non-insert inserts, like they were a subset, like that Wrecking Crew card. But in general, a lot of them are, inserts into the sets. And, for whatever reason, I think popularity plays a big role in it. There's no 10s or very few 10s for some of these cards. Now, lastly, I want to go over I buy and open a lot of wax to look for these cards. So what do I think? What would I be looking at opening? Well, 96 Bowman's Best. 96 Bowman's Best is all over my list. If I scroll back, it shows up, a couple times, actually 3 times on my top 10 list. Then if you go back to this photo, or this, chart, you'll see 96 Bowman's Best listed multiple times. So, it is a card set that has very low pop 10s, and overall availability of the refractors is low. And so $165 a hobby box in the world of 90s Chrome and Finest products, it's not high, and so I think it's worth a good shot. Now, the one thing you have to be careful of as you go through this list is series. You have to understand if there's multiple series, which one has the Griffey in it, and because you'll be like, oh, well, I got this box for $130. Well, yeah, because the Griffey's not in it, and in general, the Griffey series will be the most expensive. So next was 97 Bowman's Best, $200. Again, the Atomics, the regular refractors, they're just, a lot of things built in there that to look for. 97 Bowman Chrome, this is, again, you got international refractors, you got the base refractor, which is 0 for a 10. Even if you get a 9, I think it's good to hold because people, this is the first Bowman Chrome product. It's very nostalgia, and I think it's going to keep growing in popularity as people want to relive the first Bowman Chrome set. And so I feel like this product itself is going to start selling out. There's a lot of it on eBay right now for like over $350. I think this is Dave and Adam's price. But, I do think it's one of those products that could dry up pretty quickly. 97 Topps Chrome is already expensive. The card itself that, we're looking at is something that, does exist, but it's hard to pull. And for $350, it's a little tough to justify. Whereas on 97 Bowman Chrome, I'd even suggest that maybe you don't even open it. buy it and put it back because it's going to have some nostalgia built in. And then 98 Bowman Chrome is just, again, $195. It's what I call a cheap rip. Looking for a lot of chromes, and you can get, I believe there's like the golden gold refractors out of this, which are super limited, would be worth a ton of money even if you didn't get a 10. So there are chase cards in the 98 Bowman Chrome that, at below $200 a box, it seems worth the risk. And then my last pick is really just on sheer volume. There's 24 Griffey refractors in 99 Finest, so you have a good shot, a better shot at pulling one than maybe some other products. And again, there's two versions. There's a hobby and an HTA version. The HTA is basically jumbos, and there's obviously cards that are jumbo exclusive. That's how they did that in those days. But there you go. That is my analysis and my breakdown. If you have any questions or want some more clarification or some other cuts of the data, let me know. But I'm a big Griffey collector, and this kind of thing excites me. I put it together for my own learning. Hopefully you got some value in it as well. And let me know what you think, and I'll talk.